as Trump has gained in popularity, the numbers are different now. So whereas in like 2016, there was a 20-point difference between what unregistered voters sided with Democrats versus Republicans. Whereas now in 2024, it's looking like that advantage is only 2 points. So now you have a lot of, it's more like the analytics people that are in the Democratic Party saying to the donors, hey, wait a minute, before you write these checks for 2024, you should not give money to the same nonprofits that organize everyone. You should instead give to these other groups that just focus on much more narrow groups.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with commentary editor Conn Carroll. And Conn, you wrote a piece this week about voter registration, which has long been a priority of Democrats. You've heard them talking about it for years, and they put a lot of money and investment into registering voters. But as you note, that advantage might be disappearing.
Right. And it's not just that Democratic donors have put a lot of money into voter registration, it's how they did it. In that it's always been considered a nonprofit good. So it's been nonprofit entities that they've donated money to, which don't have to conform with election laws, the rest of it. And those organizations then go out and try to register everyone. But as Trump has gained in popularity, the numbers are different now. So whereas in like 2016, there was a 20-point difference between what unregistered voters sided with Democrats versus Republicans. Whereas now in 2024, it's looking like that advantage is only 2 points. So now you have a lot of, it's more like the analytics people that are in the Democratic Party saying to the donors, hey, wait a minute, before you write these checks for 2024, you should not give money to the same nonprofits that organize everyone. You should instead give to these other groups that just focus on much more narrow groups like African Americans or something like that. So they're changing how and who they target when they register people.
Interesting, this supposedly nonpartisan, altruistic, it's not paying off for them so much anymore.
Right, and they're shifting their strategies.
Switching gears a little bit, in the House, I know we've talked about this before for what feels like forever, but the Ukraine funding is still languishing. Speaker Johnson, though, does have an opportunity to get that in the end zone. Is he going to?
We'll see. I would bet on him this time. It seems like he has a plan. I think it's a plan that puts a win on the board for conservatives. Yes, you have some grumbling, but I think there's a couple of factors that are in his favor. The biggest being just there's a tiredness among Republicans about infighting and motions to vacate, and a lot of Republicans who, maybe were ambivalent or even supported the ouster of McCarthy first time, now they look at it and say, look, what did we really gain by this? Why are we going to this again? I think that gives Johnson some wiggle room to go ahead and work with Democrats on this issue. So you probably will see a Ukraine funding bill that will have a couple of elements that will get enough Republican support to cross the finish line. One, he's going to structure it as a loan instead of straight aid to Ukraine, which is kind of a fig leaf, but it's a fig leaf that Donald Trump has supported. Two, you're going to see separate legislation that would allow the United States to seize the assets of Russian oligarchs and use that to pay for it. That's not going to pay for nearly all of it, but it's another step that's saying, look, we're at least trying to get this paid for. And then finally, Johnson's going to pair it with a reversal of Biden's policy, his ban on LNG exports, the natural gas exports. So Biden banned natural gas exports on climate change grounds. That's an easy sell to Republicans of like, look, we need to support domestic energy. We need to push back against Biden's crazy climate change agenda. And he can do this in a way that also undercuts Putin's power in Europe, because Putin gets much of his funding from selling energy to Europe, and if Europe is able to buy natural gas from the United States, that undercuts Putin. So it's a win-win-win, and I do think Johnson will be able to put these three items together and get Ukraine across the finish line.
Do you think that Ukraine funding and support for it should be, or is becoming, something of a litmus test for Republicans in 2024, not Donald Trump specifically, but some of these congressional Republicans? Do you think that's something voters actually care about?
No. I'll plead ignorance here. There's a passionate move among a number of Republicans, both in office and in kind of more conservative think tank circles, that make a really big deal about Ukraine, but
cutting off the aid, right?
And cutting off the aid. But as they people say, I've never met someone in the wild who actually cared about
a
normie who actually cared about Ukraine aid. And I just don't really see what the big deal is. Like, why would a voter care about this?
In either direction, you
In
mean?
either direction, right.
Well, Conn, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
You can get more writing from Conn and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.